Come on out and say hi to everybody. They've been asking after you. I followed Mom through the swinging doors. The snug main room, painted a cheery daffodil yellow and crowded with armchairs, settees, and coffee tables, instantly brightened my mood. More than that, though, were the waves, smiles, and hellos I got from the dozen or so folks in the shop. There was Mrs. Gonzalez with her fussy baby Marco and little daughter Alma. There was Mrs. Beaumont and her Friday afternoon knitting group. Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Walker were arguing over their game of Scrabble, and Ms. Jackson was working on the romance novel she'd been swearing she'd have finished by the summer solstice. They weren't customers so much as permanent fixtures in Pies and Prattle. They'd been coming to our shop since before I was born and knew almost as much about my life as Mom and Dad did. It was like having a bunch of aunts, uncles, and grandparents watching over me 24/7, and not just in our shop either. Our small homespun town of Bonnet was bordered by the Brazos River on one side and the Jenkins Cattle Ranch on the other. A hiccup took longer than a drive down our main street. Bonnet's single traffic light had made the front page of the Bonnet Times when it had finally been installed 2 years ago, and Bonneters loved to boast about the bona fide hitching post that still stood, as it had for over a century, outside the chicken shack. But people looked after each other in Bonnet, and it gave the town a coziness and familiarity that I loved. "Don't forget, Selena," Mom said to Mrs. Gonzalez, who was leaving with Alma and the squalling Marco in her arms. 2 slices of the lavender honey pie an hour before you nurse Marco, and you'll both sleep through the night. You'll see." Mrs. Gonzalez hugged her, gushing her thanks, then waved to me and headed out. "Poor Selena," Mom murmured. "A colicky newborn, and now her restaurant closing its doors next month." Together, we stared out the window at the whole enchilada, the tiny but delicious Tex-Mex restaurant the Gonzalez family owned on Main Street. It sat between 2 vacant stores. Those had once been the Bonnet Soda Shop and Shoo La La Consignment. "That's the 5th business to close in the last 6 months," I said, "and we're not even counting the Longhorn Loop." Just saying the name of Texas's oldest wooden roller coaster made my throat hitch. It wasn't that I was particularly attached to the ride, but when the coaster closed 6 months ago, the loss of the tourist attraction had been a virtual death knell for Bonnet's businesses. Visits from out-of-towners had always been few and far between. Still, for over a century, Bonnet had boasted 2 claims to fame: Hazel Culpepper's Pie Shop and the Longhorn Loop. Now, we had only the pie shop left, and the tourists were dwindling. "It's not good," Mom said. A second later, she straightened her shoulders, adding, "But it's no use drowning in a river of worry either." There it was, Mom's glass-half-full M.O. She smiled at our shop full of regulars. "We have our tried-and-true Bonneters." Then she turned to the picture of Gigi Hazel that hung on the wall alongside Hazel's favorite apron. The photo was part of a framed article from the Bonnet Times, May of 1945. Mom reached out and pressed her fingertips to Hazel's cheek. "And we have Gigi Hazel to inspire us. I just wish we still had her heartstring pie, too. Now that would be something folks would talk about all over Texas." A reverent hush fell over the shop at Mom's mention of heartstring pie. There wasn't a soul in Bonnet who hadn't heard the stories about my great-grandmother's most famous pie and the supposed curse surrounding it. Nor was there a soul who hadn't, at one time or another, hoped to be the one to find the missing recipe for it. "I had a piece of heartstring pie," a gravelly voice said behind us. It was Mr. Jenkins. With his 6'4" frame, thick,